What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone is having a fantastic night so far. What a way to get the week going. I know we're in the grind, we're working, we're coming home. It's spring football, but promise you, if you love recruiting, you're going to really like this show. We got a great guest coming on. Ross, why don't you introduce our fantastic guest all the way from Rivals, covering football recruiting 24/7.
This is a national recruiting analyst for Rivals. Goes by Ryan Wright. He specializes, though, in the areas down south that a lot of us are familiar with, Florida and Georgia.
Ryan, welcome back on the scoop. We greatly appreciate you coming on. And believe me, people watching, he is on it 24/7. Ryan, I guess introduce the viewers to yourself and what you do at Rivals.
So I'm one of the national recruiting analysts covering the Southeast, as mentioned, Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. I gotta admit, after that intro that you guys have, I'm pumped. I was kind of low energy later in the day, but now I'm pumped and ready to go. I like that.
Hey, I love it, Ryan. You're fired up. We're fired up. Let's get it going. The people want to know there's got to be a big kind of, I guess, revitalization amongst recruits. This new coaching staff at the University of Miami, Ryan. You got Mario Cristobal, Charlie Strong, Kevin Steele, Josh Gaddis. We got Kevin Smith from Ole Miss, Coach Mirabal. Some of the top recruiters of the nation are coming back on this staff. You're talking to recruits daily. I mean, what are you seeing just with recruits and the relationship that Mario Cristobal has built at the University of Miami?
I'm hearing nothing but positives. So the momentum that they've built has been great with all of the coaches that they have there. One of the main things that I hear probably the most is they were recruiting me at Oregon is, basically the same staff, but now they're closer. And I think that's going to help them in a lot of ways because they've been on these kids for months. And it's not just coming in and trying to build a quick relationship. And then they have that same thing that Florida doesn't have, though, is Coach Napier and them can't necessarily say the same thing that they've been, recruiting the same kids for, 18 months or whatever. So I think it's going to go a long way to help them when they start closing out early signing period, National Signing Day.
Yeah, it's interesting. The relationship built from Oregon. Mario Cristobal has been widely recognized as an outstanding recruiter. I mean, I think even Nick Saban acknowledges him as one of the top recruiters in the nation. He develops all these relationships at Oregon. You bring it to the University of Miami. I mean, to us, we can talk about the past 20 years, but the University of Miami is the University of Miami. The prestige, the name, home of 5 national titles. I mean, the legacy speaks for itself. You know, you make a strong point there. That transition over, the relationship's already set compared to recruiting at the G5 level to the Power 5 SEC level. You got to build new relationships and new recruits. So do you think that's a big edge for Miami going into recruiting?
I think it is. I think anytime, because it's all about the relationships and what the coaches do with that. I think that a lot of the kids are excited to see what Miami will do during the season and also Florida. And they're, not to leave out Florida State, but they're all effectively competing for the same kids. But that would be the one little difference I think that I've heard a lot of that would favor Miami in this recruiting arms race, if you will. So.
Ryan, I'm kind of curious. The quarterback debate has been back and forth, back and forth, back and forth with multiple players. Who are some quarterbacks that have really stood out to you in the region that you're taking care of?
A lot of Georgia guys. Just posted one with Dylan Lonergan. He can spin it. He's very good. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. I know he just visited Florida. Trying to remember if Miami is one of his guys on that list as well. But Dylan is really good. I'm going to draw a blank here. Dylan Rizik, who's out of the Miami Fort Lauderdale area, really like him. His game. I know that he has a connection with Ponce from when Ponce was at App State. So we'll see what happens with that and his brother as well. Anthony Calandra, he's another up and comer to watch. I don't know that he's a Miami recruit, but he's one of the kids here in the area that's jumped out. Another guy, Connor Barrett, he's an under the radar kid. He can spin it. Again, not necessarily a Miami recruit, but somebody that is good. Trying to remember who all I saw at Under Armour up in Georgia, and just drawing a blank. But there's been so many. Just saw Jaden Davis at one of our camps, was fantastic. I mean, there's a lot of kids, that and I think IMG is bringing in some guys too. So I'm not sure who all they have that's coming in. But Jaden, one of the Jadens that's coming. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. So
now going to a different position here, there's always talent at running back in the South. There's always some major talent. Who are some of the guys that are really sticking out to you? We got the Richard Youngs, the Cedric Baxters. Who are the guys who are really, really standing out to you?
Richard, definitely. He's a freak athlete. Got to see him during the 2021 season leapfrog a defender. I mean, he's like 6 foot tall, and the guy that he jumped over at, probably had to be at least 6 foot tall and just hurdled him. But yeah, freakish. And he's an every down back. I think he's somebody that can carry it 25 times. You wouldn't want to give it to any back 30 times, but I think he kind of has that Darren McFadden ability where, and you get in that tight game, or Derrick Henry, whoever you want to compare him to, you could probably get 7-8 extra carries out of him, and he's going to take it all the way. In the 2024 class, Stacey Gage is somebody that is really good. I think also in the 2024 class, you got Rod Gainey also out of IMG, and Nathaniel Jones, Ray, going to Clemson. Man, he's just talked about cut on a dime and go, and the things that he can do with his burst and speed. Fantastic. Out of Georgia, Justice Hayes, also very good talent.
Strong player, strong.
Yeah, talk about all-purpose, and they use him as a workhorse, but he can also catch out of the backfield. So those are some of the ones that are coming to mind right off the top of my head.
Kind of curious. There's the one in particular I want to chime in with you here is Mark Fletcher. Have you had a chance to study Mark?
Yeah, I've seen Mark. Yeah.
What's your take?
Yeah. I mean, he's very good. I mean, him, I'm just thinking Miss Sam Singleton, another, out of Fleming Island. Just saw 3 of their offensive linemen at the combine, and then they got the next day pass to the rivals camp in Miami. And they're big boys. I can see why he's doing well. The very good talents, fast, agile, can cut on a dime, quick, got that explosive step, and they're gone. So all very good players.
Ryan, I feel like, the wide receiver position in the state of Florida, maybe even South Florida, is just so elite. You got guys like Brandon Ennis, Hakeem Williams, you got Santana Fleming. I mean, all these guys are going to be playing Power 5 football. When you evaluate the wide receiver position in covering the Southeast, I mean, who sticks out to you the most? I mean, a lot of people are very high on Brandon Ennis and Hakeem Williams. For me, I think those two are very good players. Are those two, do you think, the leader of the pack, or maybe someone else to you really sticks out?
I like both of them. I really like Williams a lot. I think his size, his wingspan, Brandon Enos is an explosive talent. So don't get me wrong. We're splitting hairs on very good players. I like Williams a lot. Fowler is another one that I really like. Honestly, Robbie Washington. I mean, talk about a guy that can just, float. He can, I think, unlike maybe Hakeem Williams, can help in the special teams, especially punt return. I mean, he's just a devastating return specialist. So he's somebody I think that could come in day one. Not that Enos or Williams couldn't, but he's that guy that maybe isn't getting as much attention as everybody else, that just, he can ball, he can run, he's very athletic. And I think he has that chip on his shoulder that makes the difference, that you want that heart, that competition, that dog mentality or factor, that he'll compete at the next level.
Yeah, Robbie Washington out of Miami Killian. I mean, speed. He's a burner. He can fly. Very special talent, local from Miami, Florida. I'm curious. Have you been following Jalen Brown out of Gulliver Prep in Miami? His backstory is very interesting to me. He was very recruited heavily by Michigan. I'm sure Josh Gaddis was one of his primary recruiters. Obviously, Josh Gaddis is at the University of Miami now. He's down the road in Pinecrest, literally 10 minutes away from campus. What have you been able to interview at all Jalen Brown or get to see him in person?
Yeah, he's one of those guys that some of the Miami guys are less communicative with recruiting. He's been one of those elusive guys, and I think so many of the 2023 guys now have been hit up so much that it's harder and harder to kind of get the scoop on what they're doing and what's going on. I don't know where Jalen Brown is right now with his recruiting, just being honest. So I don't want to kind of wing it or kind of make something up. But I've not communicated with him lately. But yeah, I mean, it's just as far as a special talent, he definitely is one.
What do you think it makes him so special? Just his speed primarily?
I mean, there's the speed, the cuts, getting that little separation, the explosion to create that window for quarterbacks. I mean, that's all the difference in the world. And as we all know, the windows get smaller each level that you
Yeah.
go up. So any type of separation or opportunity, that's a space that he can give a quarterback, that makes all the difference in the world. And I, couldn't give you a complete breakdown on all of his route tree, what he does. And I'll get it coached up at the next level. But I do think that his route running and his cuts and explosion out of that is a big difference. And then obviously he's got the speed to finish anywhere, on the field once he gets it.
Are you familiar with wide receiver Bryson Rogers?
Yeah, a little bit.
Is there anything that you saw about him that stood out?
Remind me, which school is Bryson at?
Wiregrass.
Wiregrass. Because there's been I got like 500-600 kids in my head, so sometimes get them all confused. Yeah, Bryson's another standout player. Trying to remember where I saw him last, if it was at a camp or 7-on-7, but either way. But yeah, just as you mentioned, the entire state is covered with amazing receiver talent. They had it last year. It's nothing new. It's been ongoing throughout the state of Florida. But he's another one of those guys that he's going to be a difference maker for a college program.
And here, a little different one right here, who is a kid who's actually committed already. Have you got a chance to see Lamar Seymour play?
Who's that?
Lamar Seymour, currentty committed to Miami.
Oh, Lamar. Yeah. Again, trying to remember where I saw him. Maybe it was in Miami at the battle tournament. I'm trying to remember where I saw him last.
That's where
but yeah, another great one. I mean, that was such a fantastic. All the guys that we've mentioned, I think, were in that 7-on-7 tournament. So it was a lot of fun to see all those guys. But yeah, not to be redundant with it, but yeah, great speed, can roll. He's going to be a difference maker at the next level.
Hey, Ryan, I got to ask, we're talking about receivers now. Let's switch over to cornerback. Listen, one of the best cornerbacks in the nation, if not the best, one of the top players in the nation. You know what's coming. Cormani McClain.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it's coming. We had his high school coach on the scoop. Class act gentleman. I mean, we love his head coach. Great guy. Spoke very highly of Cormani. Is he the real deal? I mean, I really think he's going to be a day one impact starter.
Yeah, I mean, he right now has a look of a first round NFL draft pick. Super excited about him. I think he's a legit 5-star, somebody that would be in the conversation for the top player in the country, in my opinion. And there's a 2024 guy over at IMG that might be in that conversation next year for the same thing. Is just fantastic. But back to Cormani. Yeah, I mean, he's just great. Every time I've been around him, he's a great kid. Just really nice, respectful, but just on the athletic abilities. I mean, he plays low. He's legit 6'2", right around in there, maybe a little bit taller even, but plays low. And then you just see him spring up He can high point the ball. I mean, he can cover. He's got good hips, good speed. I mean, he's somebody that, even in the NFL, if his speed drops a little bit and he, after a 10-year career, he might be that guy that could play another 6 years going to safety. I could just see him being that. If he has the longevity, stays healthy, he's just that good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would love for him to come to the University of Miami. His high school football coach, was talking about Mario Cristobal coming to their high school, and that Billy Napier went to their rival high school. So, I think it's an outstanding experience for Mario Cristobal to speak, in front of the crowd over at Lake Gibson, and just talk about what his message is, and to the players and in front of Cormani. So we're really hoping he can come to the University of Miami. He's a special talent, and we know he's being well coached, over there. So definitely looking out for him. And, it's interesting. 24/7 Sports projected him as a first rounder as well. Listen, he's going to be a phenomenal player, obviously, but it's funny that you as well view him that high in projection wise. I mean, it's 30 to 31 players get drafted in the first round roughly. So high expectations, but I think he's going to be a great player.
Yeah, I mean, I watched him 7-on-7 practice, mind you, and he was taking every rep serious. I mean, he was working. He was working on his game. There's a difference to him, and I got to see him twice during the 2021 season. But yeah, I mean, he's just a different caliber athlete. So I mean, he's fantastic. And even with Sam McCall on the field, they were not going his way. So, that was during the 2021 season. But, of course, he's playing with South Florida Express, and that whole defensive secondary is loaded as well. So quarterbacks don't have a choice. But yeah, he's a different talent.
Hey, Ryan, one question before I pass over to Ross. I mean, this has been a very interesting, conversation about, evaluating a player 7-on-7 compared to putting the pads on a high school football game. I feel like you get to see both sides of it. How do you evaluate, players playing 7-on-7 and then evaluating them in pads during a real football game? I mean, there's got to be some differences in evaluations.
Oh yeah. So it would be more for the receivers and the defensive backs. Certainly the receivers and the corners. Safeties a little bit more how they're reading the quarterback. It's harder to do the evaluation on the quarterback because there's no pass rush. There's not a pocket. They can see the field cleanly. So it gives an unfair advantage to quarterbacks, in the evaluation because there's no pressure. There's just the 4-second, if you will, shot clock or throw clock.
Right.
Running backs, linebackers are kind of taken out of it unless there's something where maybe for a linebacker that they actually throw to the running back. I will say one of the sweetest plays I saw on 7-on-7, going back to Ray Nathaniel Jones, was by him. And they were playing Dante Moore's team. I can't remember the name, if it's like Team Impact or something like that, out of Michigan. And Ray came down and won the game, and they handed the ball off to him twice. And it was a muddy field, and just his balance and cut and his ability was just amazing. Again, I know he's not a Miami guy, but he's a Florida guy to talk about with recruiting. But so there's something that's unique like that where you can maybe evaluate a running back, but the rest is really kind of seeing how receivers get off jams, how they're running the routes with the corners, if they're flipping their hips, how they're staying in their back pedal, if they're opening up too soon, stuff like that. And then again, with safeties, how they're just covering the back half of the field. If the quarterback's able to look them off, if they're, just how they play their zone, and depending on what they're running. But those are the ways where you can kind of evaluate. And again, it's a little bit unfair, with some of it because you don't have the pass rush, and receivers aren't necessarily breaking off of their routes if the quarterback's flushed out of the pocket. There's little nuances to the game that you're not seeing to see the instinctiveness maybe of receivers out there. And then the other thing is corners, safeties, they know the ball's coming, so they don't have to necessarily key on the run. So they can just play the pass. So I mean, there's some things you kind of have to take with a grain of salt when you're evaluating, but you can still see the basics of what's going on. I hope I
Ryan,
answered your question.
Ryan, when you mentioned Cormani McLean, you had mentioned that there was a player that was in the class above him. Were you possibly talking about Desmond Ricks?
Yes, yeah, he's going to be somebody that's going to be in the conversation for as a top player. And it's a little bit harder for a corner because if they don't go your way, you're not going to put up the you're not going to have the film. You're not going to put up the gaudy stats, stuff like that. And that happens to a lot of guys where, you see a corner and he's two pass breakups, maybe he has 15 tackles on the year. They don't even come to the side of the field at all for anything. Um, so quarterbacks and defensive ends, guys like that can put up the gaudy stats might get a little bit more of the fanfare over a corner, but yeah, those two guys are in the conversation in my book.
When you're evaluating cornerbacks, what are you looking for mostly? Is there a method that you kind of have that you run by, or is there variables that go along?
Most of it is the back pedal, how they flip their hips, how they turn, if they get turned around, how they recover, that speed, that burst. Everybody wants to jam, so but not everybody jams at the next level. So off man is important too. One of the things that I love to see in a corner is how they play the entire field, especially again in off man, where if how they're disguising their defense, if maybe a cover two turns into something else, even if they take like a different quarter of the field. But if they can see the play develop, if they've done their film study, and the instinctiveness to know that the receiver is running a fly or a go, whatever, that the tight end is doing an underneath route, or that there's a drag route coming in from a receiver on the other side off the slide, and they break off of that and make the play. There's a lot of little things to look for. Of course, the speed, being able to keep up receivers and stuff like that. Turning on the ball and not, face mugging the receivers or whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of little things to that. But a lot of it all begins with the hips, and just being able to run and turn and go with the receivers.
Hey Ryan, you were given the opportunity to interview Samuel Mpemba. I mean, 5-star recruit and freak athlete. I mean, his measurements are through the roof for the things like the intangibles he can accomplish at the next level out of IMG in Bradenton, Florida. I mean, how was that interaction interviewing him, and how do you view him as a player?
So I've interviewed him a lot recently, going back to IMG's pro day. Got an interview with him during the season, but everything's heated up. He just visited Missouri, Michigan, I think Ohio State. Got interviews with him after that. He was at Miami this weekend. Spoke with him earlier today on that. That, by the way, went well. That article will be out on Rivals, kind of a preview for everybody tomorrow. But that went really well, and I think that was his first time going to Miami. And I think he left it impressed. Again, don't want to give away too much, but for all the Miami fans, you have reason to smile tonight in regards to Sam Mpemba. But yeah, freak player, will be a defensive end. Could have probably been a tight end, for a lot of college teams if he wanted to. But he's going to be that, outside linebacker, DN, edge rusher. Depends how much more mass, what his frame, puts on, how he develops. If he will be better suited, I think right now more of a 3-4 DN, outside backer type. But he could be that in a 4-3, that weak side DN, and get after it. So, I mean, he's talented, he's versatile. So I think no matter what, he'll do well.
No, I think Miami Hurricanes fans are just excited that he was on campus, and hey, you got Ryan telling us there's some positive news coming out with his new article, so you definitely got to go check that out. Ryan, do you remember Jaleel Skinner at IMG? I'm asking you this because he was at IMG last year, a 5-star tight end. I mean, amazing player. Do you remember evaluating him at all last year? And because the reason why I'm asking is that our starting tight end, Will Mallory, he's out for the spring. He's been lingering injuries, and I really think he can make an impact as a starter year one. I really think that highly of him, and it was a surprise that he even came to Miami. A lot of people didn't expect that. So if you can just give anyone a sneak peek of what's coming in to the University of Miami, if you recall your evaluations for him, greatly
I don't
appreciate.
recall it 100%, but one thing. So yeah, I mean, he's obviously a very good player. So I do think that it wouldn't be too far of a long shot bet to say that he could contribute right away to Miami. So I would back you on that. The one thing that was a little tough at IMG, I got to see them twice. I may have mentioned that already, but got to see them twice during the season, and they just didn't have the solid quarterback play. So it
Yeah.
was really kind of hard to see what was going on. Their starter, who's going to Florida State, his season was kind of cut about halfway through, and then they relied on a freshman quarterback. So I think that at IMG, as they always do, they have the big offensive linemen, fantastic running backs, and good defense. So they were able to rely on that. So it was a little bit harder to see what all Jaleel Skinner could do as a tight end. But obviously he was blocking, and if you block, you're going to get the rock. If you block, you're going to get on the field. So I think that will help him be able to help Miami out sooner than later, even if he doesn't catch 15 passes for 300 yards or whatever in his freshman year. He might be able to contribute in other ways.
Hey, that's what we're hoping for. We really need help at tight end after Mallory will be out for the spring. So someone's got to step up. I think it'll be Jaleel Skinner, but we'll see.
It's a great opportunity for him. So, I mean, now he knows, so he can get ready for it.
Speaking of tight ends, there's a tight end out there that I'm a little confused as to why Miami hasn't quite pushed for him yet, and his name's Adam Moore. Is that a tight end you're familiar with? He's pretty heavy on the 7-7 scene.
Adam, what school is he at?
Top of my head, I can't remember, honestly.
I'm with you. I can't remember. I can't remember yesterday. So yeah. There's so many things going on. But yeah, if you let me know, so it strikes more of a chord. There's some great talents at tight end that I saw here recently. Connor Cox is one of them. He's at Bowles out of Jacksonville. I think he's somebody that's going to be a big Power 5 guy that a lot of teams are going to be in on. There's another guy, I wish I could remember his name. And then there's Christian Strong, I don't think he has much going on for him. He's at St. Thomas Aquinas. Yeah. I think he's somebody that's going to get a big push. Hopefully he gets that opportunity during spring practices to gain momentum, go on the college camp circuit, kind of push it forward, and then have that big season, because he's playing behind Mason, so playing behind a 4-star LSU commit, you're probably not going to get on the field a whole lot at tight end, with that. So,
going back to a different position here, going back to linebacker, there's a specific recruit that I'm really interested to hear your breakdown on, and that's Raul Popo Aguirre. What can you tell us about him?
Raul, what school is he at?
He's in Georgia.
Georgia, okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. So I'm sure I saw him at Under Armour, and I think he did well. Huh?
You did an interview with him a little while back.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember because we did the rankings. What I got on, I believe we have him as a 4-star, right?
Yes.
Yeah. No, is a great player. Getting down to specifics from game film and breaking that down, I couldn't do that for you right now. But I mean, just off the top of my head, he's a good player. Rated him as a 4-star, obviously. So think highly of him. But trying to remember the specifics of his game right now, and it's eluding me. I apologize.
He plays pretty aggressive. He plays with some good speed. One of his big things with Diaz was the culture there, and having that same background, ethnically. So I heard when that change was made at Miami, people weren't too sure if Raul was going to stick around or not. But it sounds like the staff has actually gotten back in touch with him. I spoke with him briefly earlier this week, and it sounds like things are starting to pick up steam again at Miami, which is great because I think he's a fantastic player.
Yeah, I think with a lot of the new staffs, you get in and you're just trying to rush. You're just trying to put in that senior class, fill whatever gaps that you have, and then maybe now, as everything has changed, fill the rest of the gaps in with the transfer portal. Then for the next class now would be the 2023 is trying to figure out what you need to do. Granted, they've had a lot of connections with these guys, but just kind of get that home base, get the feelers out, start making connections with those guys, and then start spreading it out where you can start going into Georgia and beyond Alabama or wherever, and be able to stay within your region and make headway with these guys. So I think Miami more and more will expand their boundaries of recruiting and start to go into other areas. I mean, obviously with Cristobal, he's recruited the country.
Yeah.
So, he's, if he feels strongly about a kid, they're going to go after him no matter where it's at.
Now, speaking of him opening up the nation for us, I'm kind of curious if there's a kid that you recall while you were in California that you interviewed who's going really high right now with Miami, and that's Raymond Polito.
Raymond Polito. It's been a while. He's a lineman, right?
6'7", 340-pound lineman. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a while. I remember him being very good. I've not seen updated tape on him. I don't know if he was at the Rivals camp in LA. I wasn't at that one. So I haven't seen him recently, but I do remember him. He's a big kid. So
he just transferred to Bosco.
Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah. So I'm sure Bosco has mentioned a time or two on here, but definitely one of the top high school football programs in the country. Out of the Trinity League, constantly going against Mater Dei. So whoever wins, basically between Mater Dei and Bosco in the Trinity League, they end up playing each other in the California playoffs, and that really is normally who's going to be the number one team in the nation if it's USA Today or whoever, when they hand out the mythical high school national championship. But yeah, Bosco's a fantastic program. They got great coaches there. Coach Negro is very good. So they always end up having one or two really fantastic offensive linemen there.
All right, Ryan, I'm going to throw a question out there. I'm curious what your response will be. What's the most interesting statement you've heard from a recruit while he's been recruited by Mario Cristobal throughout your time covering recruiting at Rivals?
Well, that's really specific. Interesting. And then that's subjective. I would say maybe answering but not answering your question, the most consistent is he seems to be very well liked. And that not only is he liked, but his coaching staff is well liked. So, I mean, I think that is something that maybe isn't necessarily verbalized, but it's right there, because they have all these kids' interests, and it's just a thing to get them on campus, familiarize them with, Miami, be able to talk about the culture for the kids to see it. Fill in the love is a phrase that I get to hear a lot with recruits, but it's a very real thing. They want to feel that they're going to be an important part of the program and that they're not only wanted but needed, and that they have those role models that will be on the coaching staff to help them both on and off the field. And it seems to me that Coach Cristobal and the staff that he's put together has been able to do that, or at least verbalize that they'll be able to do that. So I think that that's something that maybe is not a direct quote that you're actually looking for, in a specific, but would be a summary of some of the things that I've heard that is a positive about Coach Cristobal.
I'm fully expecting with a complete recruiting cycle, we should be in the top 10 as a program. Ryan, do you guys at Rivals ever have like a mock class rankings where you think specific teams will end up at?
Not so much that when it gets, so after the early signing period, so kind of answering your question, but going off topic here, college football, the landscape, the recruiting has changed. So I think there will be certain teams that will continue to take 25, or if you're A&M, 29, or however many they took, because now you can take 32 with the transfer portal. So you get those 7 extra guys. But I think that there's going to be certain teams that will limit how many seniors, this 2023, how many seniors that they take. So instead of taking 25, the new norm may be seeing teams take 15 or 18 that they have their certain guys. So it's going to be a different kind of thing. And that is one thing that we kind of looked at to answer your question to see. So after the early signing period, where as we got National Signing Day, if this guy went here or there, like Shamar Stewart, what he ended up doing or whatever, not Miami guy. I know it wasn't the outcome that Miami fans wanted, but if he goes to Miami or Alabama or Georgia or wherever he may end up going, again, he ended up going to A&M. What kind of difference would that make him being a 5-star in a class? But doing it, going up to, no, we don't break it down that way. There's so many variables that can go into it. So, I mean, you could take a handful of 5-stars, and if they each went somewhere different, it would probably just kind of level everything out. But if you loaded them up on one team, so there's so many different possibilities how things could shake out if you did that. But no, we don't do that.
Greg wants to ask, this is actually, I think, the last recruit class of 2022 to sign somewhere. Josh Connerly, offensive lineman out on the West Coast. Does that name ring a bell at all?
I know Josh. I don't know where he's at with his recruiting. I wouldn't want to make
The
a
last
comment
one.
on it. Huh?
Yeah. The last one who's going to make a decision. That's pretty unique. I didn't know you could wait that long.
Yeah, I mean, there's one of my favorite stories. Actually, I think would go back to maybe Coach Cristobal when he was there. There was a guy that, and his name is just eluding me, but he was out of one of the big schools in California, finished up his senior year and didn't have any offers. And then he ended up getting, I think, like Idaho, and then Oregon offered in June. He went up to Oregon as a safety and ended up starting. It was his only Power 5 offer, only like real big D1 offer. And again, I think it was under Coach Cristobal. Started as a freshman and led the team in picks. So yeah, you can sign late, you can sign whenever, and it can come in any different ways, shape, fashion, or form. I think the thing though that these colleges want to get these guys on campus as soon as possible, get them acclimated, get them into a class or two, so they can kind of get their feet wet and get that going. Get into the weight room, get on a nutrition plan. I think that's one thing that a lot of kids may take for granted. I don't know where Josh is at with his nutrition, with his weightlifting and stuff like that, but it's a beast. The college game is different. It's very job like. You have to be disciplined. You have 5:30 a.m. workouts. Maybe a lot of guys aren't used to that. I mean, then you have to do your studies, go to practice, then go do your homework or write your papers or whatever it is. So I think it's a disadvantage for somebody to wait that long, but it does happen.
I just saw a question pop up there, and it was a guy who I was just going to bring up, actually. I'd love to hear your take on Ruben Bain, just about how dominant you feel he is.
I like Ruben a lot. Saw him twice this last year. Saw him the state championship game and against Bishop Gorman. I like him a lot. He's every time I've been around him, he's been nice. He's a good kid, very respectful to me. But yeah, I mean, I think he's somebody who's like around 6'3". I don't know if he's going to grow anymore, but would have that kind of tweener, weak side defensive end, could maybe add a few more pounds to be more of a strong side. But I really like Ruben's game. He's a good kid too.
Is there any other pass rushers locally that stand out to you? They don't, of course, they don't have to be exactly Bain status, but anybody else that's really standing out to you locally there in South Florida?
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm gonna forget them all because I wish I had that question to prepare for it ahead of time. Sorry, guys. Trying to remember all the South Florida guys. If you throw some names out there, I can respond to it. If there's somebody specific you have in mind.
I didn't even get the names wrapped up. That's my fault then.
No worries. Yeah, there's so many. I mean, he's going to Notre Dame. Keeley out of Tampa. He's very good defensive end. Not out of Miami, but I like John Walker and his teammate Derek LeBlanc. I think that they may end up going to a Florida school. I don't know which one, but I'm sure Miami would love to have those guys. But LeBlanc is a very good one. Um, uh, there's an up and comer, and his name is eluding me. That's at St. Thomas Aquinas. He may be a 2024 guy, but I think that he's got some promise to him as well.
What do you think
Yeah,
about?
I wish there were some names that would help me with that. Sorry,
I found my name list here finally.
Okay, good.
What guy like Darren Reed, defensive lineman out of Georgia.
What's his name?
Darren Reed, defensive lineman out of Georgia, 4-star.
Another good one. So I mean, if you want the I mean, can get off after the quarterback, can stop the run. He's very good.
Plain and simple.
Plain and simple, yeah, he's good.
Is Connor Knight a player that you're familiar with on the defensive line?
Yeah, he's somebody that's blown up here recently. I like Connor a lot. Yeah, it was kind of slow and easy going with his recruiting, and then maybe in January or since January. So it seems, this is not a direct thing, it seems like he's picked up like 20 offers since January. So it was great to see him exploding and getting that recognition for his play.
Well, Ryan, we greatly appreciate your time tonight on the Scoop and your hard work for Rivals. We know you're covering recruiting 24/7, and it really is a 24/7 affair to cover recruiting with so many things changing. I guess my last question is, I mean, covering recruiting for so long, who is your favorite addition to the Miami Hurricanes staff? Just you seeing them maybe, recruiting players, Charlie Strong, Kevin Steele, Coach Mirabal, is it Josh Gaddis, Coach Kevin Smith? I mean, who do you see that is really on the forefront of recruiting that you really like as a coach? Maybe it's Mario Cristobal.
Yeah, I do like Coach Cristobal. I've interacted with Coach Cristobal before when he was at Oregon at a camp at Lutheran in the LA area. So I do like him. To the guy that I think is a tremendous add-on, and not taking away from anybody else, I really like Kevin Steele as a defensive coordinator. What he did at Auburn, he kind of took a break, was out of the game, was an analyst with Alabama, wasn't sure what he's going to bring to the table at Auburn, and was just amazing. I mean, that's one thing I think that Gus Malzahn had that he could count on year after year was Kevin Steele's defenses. And yeah, I think he's a fantastic coach. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do as a coach at Miami. Yeah, I think highly of him and what he can do. I think really he was probably one of the top 2 defensive coordinators in the SEC before Harsin and company got rid of him. So I think he would have been somebody that would have been great to have kept at Auburn if I was Coach Harsin. So.
All right, Ross, you got anything else for Ryan before we let him go?
I guess, just here on the surface, Ryan, and not in depth or anything like that. How does Miami go about getting that fence built around South Florida? And is Cristobal already doing that?
How is Miami going to be able to do what?
Put a fence around South Florida.
Okay, sorry, missed the fence word. Sorry. Yeah, it's going to be hard. I think winning will do it, and then being able to get that message out, and then about culture, the change. That's one thing that's I know is going on at Florida. Not to bring up an antagonistic team for the Miami fans, but that's something that's really big that they're preaching as well. So you have 2 high-profile teams within the state going after the same caliber kids, same kids, and they're preaching the same thing. So it'll be being able to translate that when they're on campus, if it's now during the off season, if they're seeing it in spring practice, then going if they're camping or they're visiting this summer, and then in the fall, seeing it on the field. You want to see that change. You want to see the discipline. It may not always come out in the wins, but that these kids are playing hard and they're playing good football. I mean, hopefully for everybody that they win. But you understand what I'm saying. It's that there's other ways to gauge success and how the coaching is taking hold. And ultimately, every team, every program wants it to be in wins. The other ways to see it, and I think that's how that fence is going to be built, is the consistency and messaging, and then seeing that message is translating onto the field.
Ryan, we greatly appreciate your time and the amount of, content information you have provided us tonight. Best of luck covering recruiting moving forward. We know you're on the ball 24/7, and thank you again for coming back on the scoop.
No worries. Sorry, I couldn't remember everybody. End of the day, it's been a long one, so
All
I'll,
good.
I'll be sharper next time.
All good, Ryan. We completely understand, and have a great night.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
All righty, Ryan. Take care. All right, that was Ryan Wright from Rivals. He's covering recruiting 24/7. Man, I don't know how he does it. I can't remember all those recruits' names myself. All right. Well, our next guest, he's coming on backstage. Ross, why don't you introduce our next very talented guest who actually just picked up a University of Miami offer?
Yeah, picked up an offer recently. This is 2023 tight end Javante Connor from East Forsyth High School in North Carolina.
Javante, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Great. It's a pleasure to have you on the scoop, and congratulations. You just picked up an offer from the University of Miami.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what was that like? Walk us through that experience picking up an offer from the University of Miami.
So it like happened a little crazy. So I've been picking up a lot of offers and everything. And then my coach at my high school knows the coaches over at Miami. My new coach. So he had sent them some film and workout footage and everything. And then I guess they liked it and they evaluated my film and everything, took it through their process, and he called me like right after. He called me out of nowhere, like just out of nowhere. He just called me. He hit me up over Twitter and he said something. I forgot what he said. He said something. I think he sent like the eyes emoji or something. And I was like, what the?
Oh, Eye of the Storm.
So I picked my phone up and I text him back because I was like, I followed him a long time ago and he never contacted. I see he followed me, then he sent me the eyes emoji, and I was like, okay, something happened. So he just sent me his number, saying, hey, give me a call. I gave him a call, and he said they liked my film and everything, and they had evaluated, and so they offered me.
Wow. So that must have been surreal for you, a surprise like that out of nowhere to pick up an offer from, people say it's tight end you. If you look at the history.
Yeah. I'm already knowing. I know a little about Miami.
Well, some of the offers here I want to read off for Canes fans is, you've got your Miami offer, you got Minnesota, Mississippi State, Pitt, South Carolina, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, FSU, plus more. So you're definitely moving in the right direction in recruiting.
Yes,
How's
sir.
the recruiting process been for you so far? Are you enjoying it?
I would say it's fun, but it has its times where it's like dang, I just want to just chill out, like on some stuff like that. Like they'll continuously hit you up, but I mean that just really shows that they want you on their team and everything. So I respect that, but it's real good, but sometimes it can be like a little too much sometimes. Just in that area.
What's your current height and weight right now?
Right now I'm 6'3", 241.
Okay. Have you had your wingspan measured lately?
Oh, it was I think it was it might have been like 6'11".
Okay. Not bad. Yeah.
I think so. It might have been somewhere. I don't know. I might be lying. It was something like that.
How was this last season for your high school team?
This past season, this was my first year getting on the field because this is my second year playing football and everything, and so this was like my first real year, and this is my first year playing that wide position, tight end wide.
Yep.
So it went pretty good. Like we did a lot of good things, and we kind of didn't really gel together to about the like. I mean, we gelled together, but I didn't start getting the ball till about the fifth game. So I started getting the ball around the fifth game. Started doing a lot, doing what I could, and you know, just just doing my thing. And we went a little far in the playoffs. Went to the third round out of the 5 rounds. So it was a pretty cool experience.
I know you say you got a slow start there, but just curious, what kind of stats did you put up this last season?
Um, I don't even I don't even know. Like it was like I didn't get the ball much, but when I got the ball, I made something happen with it. That's what I guess that's what the people like about the film. Like, I can make something happen when I get the ball. Like it's just like I'm gonna try to score whenever. Like every time I touch the ball, I'm trying to score. Just stuff like that. Like after I got that first touchdown, it was just, you know, every time, you feel the touchdown one time and it's like that feeling just crazy. So it's like I want to get it every time. I want to have that feeling every time. It's like when you make a touchdown, make a big play, everybody get loud. That's just that energy just crazy. Like I like feeling that energy. It's just positive energy.
When you got your offer from Miami, were before you got the offer, were you aware about like all the great tight ends that played there? Jeremy Shockey, Greg Olson, Bubba Franks, Kellen Winslow, David Njoku, got Clive Wofford. Were you
Yeah,
aware like how many
I knew
NFL
a lot
players?
about Greg Olson at
Okay.
Miami. I know he did a lot of great things at Miami. I know he did a lot of good things. I used to watch his highlights and everything. Even when he played with the Panthers, didn't he? Yeah, he played with the
Yeah.
Panthers. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was watching his highlights and everything. I used to watch a little bit of what he used to do. They used to have him flexed out a little bit, hand in the dirt, stuff like that.
How's the communication been with Miami after your offer? Is there a specific coach you talk to, maybe their tight ends coach every day, Coach Fields that you've been speaking with,
Yes,
or
sir. I talked to Coach Fields and one more coach, but I don't talk to him much. That's why I can't remember him. But I know I talked to Coach Fields a lot. He trying to see like what me and my family did. We sat down and we had planned the visits and everything, like just about the offers that I had at the time.
yeah?
And then I like picked up a lot of more offers, and then so it's like we're finishing like the first phase of visits type stuff. So we're gonna sit down again and plan some more visits to
Okay.
some other schools. I plan on taking a visit out there to Miami.
What are you working on this off season to really take your game to the next level? Where do you really want to improve at?
Um, I'm really working on everything for real. Like I'm just trying to become more of a leader, more to just be trying to come, be more vocal. And I'm really working on like I've gotten a lot bigger since the season. I put on a lot of muscle, put on about 10 pounds of muscle. So yeah, I put on about 10 pounds. So I've been really just working on my body and everything, making myself that like trying to get myself to that elite tight end. You know, um, just get myself to like one of the best in the nation, if not the best. So I'm just working hard and striving towards that.
Talk to us a little bit about high school football in your area. What's the competitive level like? Do you guys got some pretty big battles going on there?
In North Carolina, see, I was in Alabama, then I moved to North Carolina. So in Alabama, the competition was like crazy. Like ever heard of like Central High School?
Yeah.
Yes, Central. You got Central. You got
So you
Auburn.
could see the difference right away then.
Yeah, like I mean,
Okay.
I'm not gonna count nobody out or take it easy on nobody just because I
Yeah.
feel like it
Yeah.
might be a little easier or anything, but I don't think it's gonna be easy. I just feel like it's gonna be a little different. Like I feel like Alabama definitely has like more. Like North Carolina, I did the research. They put out some good athletes. They put out some good athletes just about every year. But the amount of talent, Alabama puts out is just insane. It's just insane. It's like that Georgia, Alabama, Florida. That's insane.
Are you working with any specific trainers this off season?
I had a trainer at Alabama, Coach Steele, and we worked out a lot. Worked out on Sundays and everything. He trained a lot of good players like Drew Pickett. Yeah, that's my guy. Me and him. Yeah, that's my guy. So he trained him and everything. We all trained together, played on the same 7-on-17. So me and Drew, like, we real cool. We actually been looking at trying to get out to Miami around the same time. So
Yeah,
try to get out
holler at
there.
Drew. I've been trying to get Drew on for an interview, man.
Yeah, Drew that guy for real.
I loved his tape, bro. His film is it's off the hook.
Yeah, Drew's real good. Drew's crazy. Like
Javante, what are you gonna do this off season? Planning visits wise, do you have a set itinerary?
um I plan on starting to take my officials during maybe June. Start taking officials during June, up into June. Take unofficials. Take as many unofficials as I possibly can. Fill out the schools that I'm real interested in, and um, just take it from there and everything. I plan on coming before the season. Probably. I want to do. I don't know. Like I'm just trying to take everything slow. Like I got to take my visits. I don't want to commit to a place and I ain't never been there. So
Right.
I just want to take my visits and everything, and just fill everybody out, stuff like that. Plan on coming after I take my officials, and I might not take. I might just take 4 out of 5. You never know. Like I might just take 4 out of 5. Coach change, whatever. So take 4 out of 5. Have one more remaining, and if something happens, then like I want to be committed. When I commit, I want to be committed that time. Like I want to just stay committed. But if something just ends up happening, then I just want to have that one official just in case.
If you had to, if you were down to 4 or 5 schools, what are going to be some factors you think in your decision, whether it's academics, early playing time, the relationship with the players and the coaching staff? What do you think are going to be some factors in your decision down the road?
Um, I would have to say that it would be academics, my relationship with the coaches for sure. Like that's like right behind academics. I would definitely have to have a good relationship with the coaches. Like I can't go somewhere and the coaches barely talk to me because that I don't feel like I'm wanted there. So I'm just trying to go somewhere where the coaches get good academics. I'm trying to go somewhere like I gotta be able to, but like outside of football, just enjoy the campus, like enjoy being there. I don't want to be like if football ended, I don't want to just be there, like you know. So like I'm looking at just thinking about it like that. Like if I didn't have football, would I enjoy this campus? Would I enjoy being here?
Describe your game. What kind of player are you? What kind of player will colleges be getting in the future?
Um, I feel like they'll be getting a very hardworking, um, very hardworking player. I'm still learning the game of football. Like I learned it. Like I just a couple months ago, I just found out what 11 to 12 personnel is. I just found that out. So just I feel like they'll be getting a student of the game. I like to watch film. Like to see what I can do to better myself and just help the people around me type stuff. So I really just feel like I'm just a player that's gonna come in ready to work and ready just for whatever. Try to get me a spot real quick.
Do you have any favorite players that you look at their film to try to learn stuff from?
See, a lot of people try to compare me to Kyle Pitts. Like they try to say like I play like him a lot. Um, so I like to watch. I watched a lot of Kyle Pitts when he was at Florida. I liked how they flexed him out and how he was really more of a wide receiver than he
Yeah,
was tight end, and that's what a lot of colleges are recruiting me for. Like
flex.
they're that wide position. They're recruiting me for that wide position. Sometimes I'm in like I won't have to do as much blocking because I'm more of a route runner and everything, and I'm more of a pass catcher. So they really just everybody recruit me. Teams are recruiting me to play tight end. Teams are recruiting me to play that wide position. Miami recruited me to be that wide position, flexed out and everything. So yeah, I watch a little Kyle Pitts. That's really it. Like I really watch I watch college football before I watch NFL football. NFL football just not is it just wasn't what it used to be. It's not like it's entertaining. Like I watch NFL football when it's deep in the playoffs, stuff like that. I just can't sit down and watch NFL football all day.
Do you play other sports by any chance?
I'm looking at doing a little track. Possibly gonna do that. I played basketball a long time, so I went from being a football player, well, being a basketball player playing football to a football player playing basketball. It's just when I started playing football, it's just I got more aggressive, and it got to the point where it was like getting annoying because it's like when I got bigger, it's like people just bouncing off me and they calling fouls. So it's like I started not really liking the game of basketball that much.
The reason I asked is because you got light feet out there on the field. You've got that explosive athletic ability that you usually see from basketball players who end up playing tight end. So you can see, I mean, you can see it already, which is a big deal. Coaches love to see that stuff. So just, no, don't ever be ashamed of that. Work with that as
Yeah,
much as you can for sure, because coaches love that versatility.
yes, sir.
Well, Javante, we're really excited, to see what you can do during your upcoming high school football season, and we think your recruitment's only going to get better and better from this point on, and we know you're going to be a special tight end at the next level. So we greatly appreciate your time on the scoop.
I appreciate it. No
Absolutely.
problem.
Ross, anything else for Javante before we let him go?
Yep. We got the question that we ask every single recruit that we bring on here. Javante, why do you love the game of football?
Why do I love the game of football? For one, I just really enjoy playing the game of football. Like it's real fun. Like you get to take out different emotions on the field. You get to be aggressive and everything, and you can be as aggressive as you want in between of us, and nobody can do nothing about it. And I just feel like it's a way to for me to help my family out in Chicago. Just feel like it's a way for me to help them out, and I just like to really see how far I can go with this and everything. So I feel like it's gonna take me some ways. I just really feel like it's gonna take me some ways.
Stay humble, keep working hard. You got that talent. You really do. That's it for me, Paul.
Javante, well, it was a real pleasure to have you on the scoop again. We're hoping, great season, and we're pulling for you. So wherever you end up, you got some fans here, no doubt about it.
Appreciate it.
All right, Javante, thank you again for your time. Take
All right,
care.
no problem.
All right, that was Javante Connor, tight end, holds a Miami Hurricanes football offer. He's got offers from Minnesota, Florida State, Mississippi State, a bunch of other Power 5 schools. I think he's going to be a good one, Ross.
Yeah, I think his recruitment kind of was low key for a while. It was a lot of Toledos and schools like that at first, and then he started to show that he could do a lot more than that, and started to show, like he mentioned, it's that big playability. Even though he wasn't getting the ball all the time, the fact is when he did get the ball, he performed. That means something. You know how it is, dude. If you can perform
Yeah.
with a small amount of targets, that's actually very, very valuable. Very valuable. Which also means that you probably deserve more targets in the long run, anyways.
Right.
But yeah, he's a hybrid, kind of I don't want to say like an H back, but he's more like a flex. He's more like a flex guy. A jumbo wide receiver package could almost even work for him at times. So he's versatile. I think that's why we got our eyes on him, is because he's versatile.
We'll never go wrong with the tight end position at Miami. It doesn't matter where we recruit, who we recruit. We're always going to produce NFL tight ends, no matter who's the head coach or the coaching staff. So I know the evaluation the coaching staff makes, who we offer, I trust. I'm very confident in that.
And Fields the one running that one. So hey, why not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we greatly appreciate everyone coming on, watching us live with Ryan Wright and Javante as well. If you guys could, on your way out, hit subscribe and the like button, we would greatly appreciate that. best way to support us. And always, all about the U. Go Canes, guys. Take care.
Go Canes.